week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of the shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show, episode 254, Mr. Samich. What a wonderful weekend. Santa Anita, $22 million handled, 11 race card on Saturday. Mwah, I loved it. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It was a wonderful weekend of horse racing across the country. We had a lot of fun Friday night, Saturday night, fun on Sunday, fun on Saturday during the day. It was crazy, man. It was a lot of excellent races, a lot of fun in tournaments. It was a great weekend of racing. Can't wait to talk about it, man. This is a fun one. There's a lot to talk about in these races.
God, I was so close to hitting that pick six ticket that we talked about on the show. We gave out the winner in every single race except for one of them. It came within a neck of doing it, and I've never gone after a pick six really before, and I put together a $115 ticket that I thought was going to nail it, and to come within a neck, oh, it just hurt. But yeah, Santa Anita was a great day, great weekend overall of racing. We had preps at Tampa Bay and Aqueduct, so those circuits are starting to get a little clearer as well. A lot to get into today, but I'm excited as well as you are. What's the best thing that you saw this weekend?
Well, this one's pretty easy for me. I'm gonna take a minute away from the horse racing side of it and give the humble brag to my wife. She launched her business today, so I'm super excited for Jenna. It's been a while coming, so I know how long it's taken for her to do this and how hard she's worked. And so she's a trainer for prenatal and postpartum fitness. So if anyone out there wants to have a kid, thinking about having a kid, in the process of having one, or just had one, check out jennasamich.com because she can definitely help you out from anywhere now because of this whole COVID thing. She's coast to coast. So really proud of her, honestly. Like, she's been putting so much work into it, started the LLC, gone through the whole process, launched the website, and it is not easy to do. So super proud of her for getting it going, and looking forward to some real success for her.
That is awesome. Hey, look at that. I was just pulling it up too here. We're gonna get her a little free publicity. We don't usually do this on the show, but a little free publicity here. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, she launched it, man. Like just the website. She wrote all the words for it. I was just pouring over it the last couple of weeks and going through it, taking the time to make sure everything was perfect. Pretty cool stuff. So glad that she's able to get this out there and hopefully help more people.
And I think today is International Women's Day, right? So for her to launch her site officially on that day, that's pretty damn awesome. Oh, look who also gets to make an appearance here. A couple appearances there. Photo shoot. yeah. Do we see you anywhere on this?
No, I was actually handicapping for a tournament in the background when this was going on. Not even kidding. I had my PPs there, and Jenna's like giving me the evil eye.
Oh God, the life of a handicapper. Listen, you two are both very driven, successful people. That's very awesome. That I'm very happy for her and happy for you, and that's a really big deal. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, cool stuff, man. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm super excited for her and can't wait to see where it goes.
Best thing that I saw, I'm also going to step away from horse racing. My wife didn't launch her own business yet, but I over the last 9 weeks, every Friday morning, as soon as I get up, and it's like Christmas morning, I've been jumping right onto Disney Plus and watching WandaVision, and the series finale was this past Friday, and I haven't said anything on the show because I didn't want to talk about it until it was done. I loved it. The wife and I both loved it. We've been very avid followers, and we really liked that they didn't release all 9 episodes at once, so you could spend the entire week just really chewing on the episode and what happened and who are the theories and what is this and what is that. And we got so invested in all of these different crazy fan theories. Luckily we didn't get too far into the weeds that when the finale happened and a lot of those didn't pan out, we were disappointed. We still very much enjoyed it, but absolutely loved it. Did you get a chance to watch WandaVision at all?
Well, of course I did. And since we have the identical taste in things, yeah. Yes, I loved it. That was amazing. Like it's wild for everyone who doesn't know this. Magic and I literally like the exact same shows, movies, everything. If he likes something, I end up liking it. It's absolutely crazy. I'm not a huge comic book. I didn't read comic books when I was growing up. But one of my favorite podcasts, Binge Mode, recently went through the Marvel universe, and so I listened to those and did a rewatch of the Marvel movies, which led up to this WandaVision release. And it's interesting because I don't know all the little hidden things that are all over this place, and because each folder represents a specific a thing in the comic book issue, and so you can look at that and what they're referencing from there. So there is so much that you can get into the weeds on this stuff. It's kind of crazy. So I would watch WandaVision, and then I would watch like one of the explainers on YouTube, and there's a Vanity Fair podcast that was specifically about it. We called Rewatching, and you can go through and watch that as well, or still watching. So you can go through and listen to that. And so I listen to that. I'm a big podcast person, can't tell. I go through and listen to that, and then I watch the episode again and be like, oh, I get it now. So it's really cool when you have something like that where you can go through each of it piece by piece and enjoy it from week to week and have those theories.
It reminds me a lot of Lost, watching Lost when it first aired on television, because we didn't really have the internet back then. It was right when you and I were, just starting college or around that period of time, and the internet high-speed internet was just starting to be introduced in colleges. It wasn't even in every home at that point. So you didn't have message boards, you didn't have YouTube channels. That I'm like you, I didn't read comics growing up, but I know the right channels between myself and my wife that there's people that'll tell you everything you need to know in 20 minutes about one particular thing. So it's just been really great. So I'm glad that they stuck the landing. I won't say they stuck the landing quite like I thought they did with Endgame, but I thought they opened themselves up to a whole infinite world of possibilities for what they want to do next. So that makes things exciting moving forward for the MCU. Yeah,
man, Disney pretty good at this apparently. They're they're pretty good with The Mandalorian, pretty good with this. They know what they're doing.
So we have this Friday off, and then next Friday is the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
And we're right back into it.
You got to give them props, man. I think Netflix has to look at their business model, because I often I do this a lot. I look at something, I'm like, oh, how can you improve the business model? Disney Plus pretty much said, hey, Netflix, you want to stop losing your subscribers? Don't release the whole season in one time. Because what Disney Plus has done is that you can't just subscribe and unsubscribe. And Netflix loses. It's a churn of close to 60% of their subscribers a month, because people will subscribe for a big event, binge watch the whole season, and then unsubscribe. And Disney has found a way around that to kind of keep it going. So I love when businesses kind of look at a competitor, say, what are they doing well, what are they doing poorly, and then simply maximize their profit off of it. So it's a great job by Disney in setting it up as well.
60% is crazy. I always wonder what that number was going to be like, because I have a lot of friends who do that, and quite honestly, we might start doing that too. We might just get rid of Netflix for a while, or Hulu, Hulu Live or something like that. And I do all my stuff on YouTube now, and I get really effing annoyed having to watch YouTube ads. I'd rather just pay for the premium and not do that, and then I can watch episodes of the Magic Mike Show on a repeat with no ads whatsoever.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Magic Mike in the background all day, every day.
Oh, and that's what we call an insane asylum. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look back at our tickets from last Saturday's Pick 6 that had a mandatory payout of over $5 million in the pool at San Anita Park. So we'll talk about those races. Then we're going to do another edition of the Kentucky Derby stoplight game. We had 3 big preps to talk about from this past weekend. So a lot of action. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up.
Hey, Magic, did you watch the Rocket Hour this morning?
I did. I saw he got to break the news about Everybody Racing News working with Manscaped.
Yeah, man. Manscaped.com sent us what they call the perfect package, which totally fits, by the way. It's got lots of good stuff inside.
Oh, yeah. So they got this electric razor. They call it the Lawnmower 3.0. It's cordless, it's waterproof, it's rust resistant, so you can take it in the shower, so it makes it easier for the little hairs and stuff to go away. It's easy to clean, which is nice, and it's a really safe way to keep yourself pretty well manicured down below the waist.
Like a freshly trimmed Arlington Park turf course.
Oh, yes, sir. That's great. Just like that, the perfect package also includes a ball spray toner, which sounds weird, but it'll keep you feeling fresh even if you're coming off of a layoff. And there's also this anti-chafing deodorant. You can use that to protect you when you're sweating out that inquiry at the track. It's all really great stuff in this thing.
The perfect package also comes with the premium boxers, which feel amazing when you put them on when you're done cleaning.
God, dude, I put the boxers on like I was a joke. I was like, I'm gonna try these on, and then I was like, oh my god, like this stuff actually works. And what's gonna feel even more amazing, Mike? If you go to manscaped.com, you use the promo code MAGICMIKE, MAGICMIKE, all one word.
That's for 20% off plus free shipping on your first order.
But wait, Mike, there's more.
Oh, only for the Magic Mike Army. If you use the code Magic Mike and send us a screenshot of your order, we're going to let you pick a future episode. Well, we'll draw one person to let you pick a future episode of what track we're going to cover.
Oh yeah, and not only that, you get to send us your pick 4 ticket in advance. We're going to put it on the screen, and you get to battle head to head on the Magic Mike Show with the experts.
Wait, Aaron's joining us for an episode?
Go to manscaped.com, use promo code MAGICMIKE. That's all one word. It's going to get you 20% off, plus free shipping, plus you'll get to be a big part of a future episode of the Magic Mike Show.
Make sure you support the Magic Mike Army. Use the code MAGICMIKE, 20% off.
Your balls will thank you. Wow, Mike, you changed your shirt so fast. That little graphic comes up and you just completely change. Dennis, it's called a laundry machine. Thanks for pointing out that I'm wearing the same thing now as I was last Thursday. Let's take a look at the late pick six, the only pick six ticket that we put together at San Anita Park this past Saturday, March 6th. Race 6 was the San Felipe Stakes. We both came on and said Life is Good is pretty much a surefire winner of this. We talked about price plays, but Life is Good for us was the only thing you really needed to do to get out of that first leg. We're going to talk about that race a little later in the card, or a little later in the day. Let's look now at the 7th race, Mike, another one that you and I briefly touched on, and we really only needed to because we both thought Whisper Not was a big choice. Rip City was one that I thought could challenge maybe for a little bit of a price. And we also mentioned Tripoli and Tiberius Mercurius. So we did pretty good here. Whisper Not, the question that I had was maybe a mile was too short for him. Maybe a mile and 8 seemed to be where he's succeeding, but clearly a mile, exactly what this horse wants to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where the best horse on paper was also the lone speed. And when you get that combination, you get Pratt aboard. Good luck. Now, I don't think you really wanted to be up 10 lengths at the half mile point. Mm-hmm. Maybe have them a little bit closer, but they couldn't catch him. So this was a great performance by Whisper Not. This was a single I used on the Samabombs Pick 6 ticket, which went 5 for 6 because of that frickin' California turf angle. But we'll get to that race pretty shortly. I thought this was the best single on it. And honestly, this sequence ends up paying wonderfully. When logically I thought this was the best single, and then you had 4 to 5, Life is Good, absolutely romp, and the thing still pays over $2,500. And really, the least logical horse is 6 to 1 was the highest price in the whole sequence. So, I mean, it's an amazing payout for one of these mandatories.
Yeah, this was a pretty formful race, the first two, and I'm glad you touched on it because when I saw what the wheel pays were going to be at the end, even though you and I both got knocked out of the same race, it was pretty nice, but we'll get there in just a second. Let's take a look at race 8. This is what kicked off the late pick 4 sequence as well. The Grade 2 $200,000 San Carlos Stakes, a 7-furlong dirt sprint. Remember, it's always a little tricky when you're doing these 7-furlong sprints because horses that have done 6, 6.5, you don't know, can they do 7? You tend to look at horses that maybe were going 2 turns, a mile and 16th, cutting back a little bit. Brickyard Ride, I said, was one that I wanted to make on my ticket because he was the only one that looked like speed. And I was like, look, maybe he can't do 7 furlongs, but I know he's going to go to the lead. He ends up giving jockey Alexis Santino, still a bug boy, his first career graded stakes win. You added him onto the Samabombs ticket for the speed reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is get beat by speed in a sprint race with Santa Anita. I mean, especially when it is, like you said, it's lone speed. I kind of went back and forth. I was like, well, who else can go? Maybe the 3 can get out there, Major Cabby off the layoff. But being off the layoff and having the post, I was a little more worried about it. So you kind of had to – I personally felt like you had to get the Brickhouse Ride. It was my 5th horse in here. I'm not even close to proud of the fact that it took me that long to get there. But I didn't want to leave the speed off at Santa Anita. And I think that's really what it came down to is one of the 2 adjustments that helped me out during post-show. And this is one of those things where it's always interesting to kind of go back and I listen to the show and I listen to your arguments and kind of hear my voice. And you can hear when I am excited and when I'm not about certain horses, and Idol's another one coming up later. This is a great performance by Brickyard Ride, though. I think you really got to start considering this horse as one of the top sprinters in the U.S. now. I mean, you look at what he did from a fractions perspective, going sub 22, sub 44, and holding at 7 furlongs. Yeah, he was getting tired, but this is a 6 furlong horse who just got 7 furlongs. So I'm pretty impressed with what Brickyard Ride was able to do here.
Yeah, when you come home and that last furlong is 13 seconds, I don't really care because of just how far, or 16th of a mile, because of how far away he was from everyone else there. The one question I have, and I can't believe that Storm the Court was your 5-2, basically your 5-2 favorite with Tigre de Slugo. I guess you could make the argument, Mike, that he's cutting back in distance, that he's won at Santa Anita on the dirt before, but I thought we kind of understood this was a good turf miler. Do you send him back to the turf? What did you think about this?
I thought this was one of the most confusing rides I've seen in a long time. I ended up having Storm the Court on the Samabombs ticket because I thought that this was going to be a horse charging late. And somehow you're sitting a couple lengths behind a 21 and change opening quarter. Like, what are you thinking? The advantage here for Storm the Court was that 7th furlong in my mind. And I wanted the horse that was coming out of mile races, and cutting back in distance. And they seemed to almost take that edge away from him by having this horse so close to that speed. There was no chance he was going to win this race going 22-1, 44-1, and then running down Brickyard Ride. It wasn't happening. So I was shocked when I was shocked Storm the Court went off at 5-2. Mm-hmm. B, I was shocked that that this horse was so close to the pace. I thought for sure Velasquez is going to wheel wide with this horse late or try and get a rail trip, but be flying late versus trying to run with Clubhouse Ride early, or Brickyard Ride early. Keep saying Clubhouse Ride because that's the sire, but run with Brickyard Ride early because it was suicide.
Yeah. Didn't work out for him. I think just put him back on turf. It's a son of Court Vision. Court Vision was a great turf miler, won the Breeders' Cup Mile. Let's take a look now at the one, speaking of turf miles, Mike, the one that really just, boinked us pretty hard. Not fun. The Grade 1 $400,000 Frankie Kilroe Mile Stakes. And Smooth Lake Straight ends up being your 5-2 favorite. This is the local horse, one of my favorites. He was one of two must-uses for me, and I thought that this was the right horse to use, Mike. Umberto Rispoli is the jockey that chose Smooth Lake Straight over Hit the Road. He'd ridden both of these horses several times. I thought surely he's going to pick the right horse. I still think he picked the right horse. Good Lord, Hit the Road looked like a monster splitting between Florent Giroux. Oh, congratulations. You pick up the mount and you get the win. He did this a couple of years ago with Bolo in this same race. I need to just start playing Giroux and turf miles at Santa Anita because it doesn't matter what the horse is. He's going to screw me. Screwed you too.
Yeah, man. I didn't get to any of the top three, so I can't really be too upset about this. But this was one of those races where I can't remember a mile race in a Grade 1 mile on the Santa Anita turf going this slow for a half mile. And I think that was really where part of it kind of messed me up here. I mean, if you look at the fractions, we got 23, 47, and 1. When did you not see a 46 and change half mile on that Santa Anita turf? And when you saw that 47 and 1 come up, I was like, well, you got to really be close. And that's why I think Count Again ran a monster race here. Mm-hmm. To be able to close from 10th and get third and only miss by a half length, flying late, like that race was absolutely huge when you compare to who else finished. I mean, we often pull these charts up to talk about, okay, look where they ran early, look where they ran late. Well, 1, 2, 3, right? I mean, 1, let's Flying Scotsman quit bad, so let's not worry about him.
Right.
But the 2, 3, 4 ended up finishing 1, 2, 4, and the 10th place horse is the one who flew up, and that's what I count again. Probably ran the best race here, just wasn't able to get there in time. But they came home in 11 and 11 in the last 2/8 of a mile, and that is tough to close into. So you got to like the race here from both Hit the Road and Smooth Lake Straight. They, in a way, tripped out right behind Flying Scotsman to be able to get it done. But, there's no excuse here for Social Paranoia, no excuse for Ride a Comet, no excuse for Casa Creed. All of them were within a few lengths and just couldn't answer the bell when they got asked. Yeah,
I was just thinking about that. You have we joke a lot about that. California horses that are turf horses when they go east is usually a big play against. So you would think the reverse happens when the East Coast horses come out here for a non-Breeders' Cup race. They probably got a great shot. So if I had told you, Mike, that this race, the top three were all going to be local horses, and you wouldn't have Chad Brown, Bill Mott, Todd Pletcher, any of the shipping in here. I forgot somebody, but you wouldn't have those guys all shipping in their horses in a Grade 1 on turf, and they all miss. I mean, this was a huge head scratcher for all those horses.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you've seen monster efforts from Social Paranoia before and just completely empty in this spot, right? You have Spirit Animal, who this other Chad Brown was literally with Count Again on the backstretch and got absolutely outclosed by Count Again, right? I mean, Flavius was right there, just couldn't finish, and so you have these East Coast horses that in the past have come west and dominated. I mean, you think about Chad Brown on this turf course of what he's done over the last even 2 years, just been dominant anytime he sends a horse out here. And we're going to talk about the Brown Barn again later in the 3-year-old preps because, man, I've been banging the Chad Brown as having a rough couple months drum, and I'm going to bang it even harder today because this was not a good weekend for Chad Brown.
Boy, that's one of those drum bangs that eventually I'm like, the arms are going to get tired. The Chad Brown's eventually going to get a horse to win, right? Well, we'll find out. Maybe he just needs Keeneland to come back. Let's move on to the 10th race at Santa Anita Park. 2 races left in the pick 4 and the pick 6 sequence. If you're still alive, you've got Maxfield as your even money favorite in the big cap, and Mike and I have both said you got to use him defensively, but man, there's a lot of horses you could use here. I was big on Idol. And I was so happy when he got by Express Train late because at this point, the only time I've ever played Idol was right here in the big cap. And I was like, this is what he needed, was a jockey like Rosario. And Richard Baltus, after the race, said, well, he needed the distance, but boy, he needed Rosario. So the best rider, hands and heels, can get that lazy son of a gun Idol going in the stretch. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, this was one that you talked me onto. And by Saturday, I came around, luckily. I mean, I ended up having to dump our boy Tiz off all my tickets. So I would have been absolutely furious if he had won. And he ran a very good race. I got to give it to Tiz the Magician there. But yeah, I mean, Rosario really timed this ride well. This horse meshes really well with Rosario, specifically to the mile quarter distance, which he can get every bit of. And so he was the one who was really coming there late. no excuse for Maxfield. He was a little wide on the second turn, a little rank in the first stretch, but I didn't really see any reason why he should have lost this race. And Express Train kind of felt like he went a little bit early, that he felt Maxfield on the outside, and that kind of caused him to go after. And I don't think he necessarily needed to. And he looked like he got tired there late. And when you look at the chart, he's ahead at the mile, ahead at the top of the stretch by 2 lengths, and then gets caught. You don't generally see that type of running line from a horse that's coming from a little bit off the pace. Usually, if they get up by 2 lengths at the top of the stretch, they're going to widen. And I think in this case, that 1.25 miles really got to him, because I think he kind of had that button pushed a little bit too early on Express Train, and that cost him the race.
I think that I agree with you that I think he pressed it a little earlier than maybe was ideal, but I think he also pressed it at the right time, because I think he knew I need to stay in front of Idol, because if Idol gets in front of a horse, he doesn't usually let them by. Now, he doesn't get by horses very quickly, but they don't pass him, which is something I've noticed in his races. I thought Express Train ran very well. Idol, nothing to take away there. Maxfield, I brought this up on the live feed that Ricky hosted on Saturday, which, by the way, 750 views on that thing on the YouTube site alone, which was phenomenal. Nice. I mean, unbelievable. But Maxfield was yet another high-profile horse shipping in from the East Coast and taking to the dirt very poorly. I mean, we had this with Nashville and Finite on Malibu Stakes Day. Now you have it here with Maxfield, where they come in and they don't get a work over the local dirt. Now, that didn't help King Guillermo. He's been working here for the last month since his last race, and he still didn't run worth a damn. But, with a horse like Maxfield, do you think, because they said that the kickback was bothering him, do you think a recorded work at Santa Anita could have helped him?
I mean, sure. Of course it could have helped him. Do I think it was the difference? No, I think that this is a little tougher than the expected spot coming back from Maxfield. Like Express Train and Idol, I think, are both pretty good horses here. You had pace in front of them, so it also set up for these two horses if they wanted to come from deep off the pace, like Idol did in this situation with King Guillermo and Tis a Magician in this spot. I also think, look, we talked about this. Maxfield hasn't really beaten anybody. And so you have a question of who has he faced, who's he beaten? And it's one of those situations where, yes, I think he was the most likely winner of this race, and I think he should go off as a favorite, but it was tough to swallow even money. And that's why we talked about it on the show, about how he's one of those horses where you kind of you think he's going to win. You kind of have to use him defensively, but you got to find a couple others you like, because I think this is the reason this thing paid out so much. I think this race is the reason this pick six paid out so much, because I think a lot of people thought Maxfield was a free square, and I think that was kind of a silly assumption right there. I got to give credit to Aaron. We did a hype show Saturday morning to kind of talk about the different races and the tracks, and one of the specific questions he asked was Maxfield or bust. And both of us are like, you got to spread here. This is one of those races where you just got to try and beat Maxfield, and that if you want a single life is good early and then play against Maxfield late, that's the better route to take than singling Maxfield here, because there were just too many unknowns. That's the problem. Like, I would almost consider Maxfield an unknown quantity going into this race. And do you really want an unknown quantity at even money?
No, you definitely don't, especially if he's trying this distance for the first time, which is something I always forget with Maxfield, that he's never actually gone a mile and a quarter. I just think he's this big, powerful machine. A lot of times I equate him to Tom Stay Top in my brain, with just like a big, lumbering horse that just, like, when he gets going, you can't stop him. So let's talk about what you do next with Maxfield. I bet, because they've babied this horse so much because they have to, I bet we don't see him until June at Churchill Downs, the Stephen Foster Stakes. It's a win-in year in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's at Churchill Downs, a track that we know that he loves, and it gives him and Brendan Walsh plenty of time to get there. That sounds like a pretty good fit to me. What about you?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you also, like, who's he going to face out there, right? Like, that's the other big question. Is I think
Sonneman again.
He's proven he can beat him. I'll give it to Maxfield. Maxfield can beat Sonneman. And so for me, a lot of it is really who you're going to face. How's the race going to set up? And I, it's tough. Everyone struggles shipping like this. And so to ship across the country, face a pretty good field, run over a track for the first time, like, to be untested going into all of that. I mean, there's just so many question marks. I'm not going to knock Maxfield here. He didn't really run a bad race at all. And Idol and Express Train, both Express Train's coming off a win, and Idol's run has consistently improved here early in his 4-year-old season. So, like, I'm not going to knock any of those top three horses. I thought the top five all actually ran really good races, to be honest with you. I thought Independence Hall ran better than I expected. Mm-hmm. I thought Tis the Magician did a good job not making the lead and digging in and fighting for third for the majority of the stretch.
Yeah, so I joined the live feed for this race, and luckily I was able to stay up with all the rest of the races around the country, so it didn't kill me to do this. as soon as the King Guillermo out-hustled him for the lead, and I saw what Drayden did. He realized he was going to have to use too much of Tis the Magician if he went for it, so he tapped him back and tipped him out. I thought it was the right move. It sounded like some of the My Racehorse and Mandela folks weren't all that thrilled with it. I thought that was the right move because if you send Tis the Magician to the lead, you're going 22-4-47. You're going to go faster than that because Cedillo was hell-bent on the lead with Guillermo.
Yep.
I think that I didn't expect King Guillermo to do that, and I think Cedillo probably, to his right, thought that that's the only way I can win this race is put him on the lead and see what happens. Just didn't work out for Tis the Magician, but I thought that he ran a valiant race as well. This is a very solid Grade 2, Grade 3 horse, and he was trying Grade 1 company, and he didn't get his ass beat. Listen, I'm pretty happy with this horse, and I was telling my wife yesterday, like, listen, he's going to get better with age. We've already seen that at age 4. They're going to bring him back at 5 because he's not going to get a major stud deal this year. This horse, if he continues to grow and progress, man, watch out as a 5-year-old. We're coming for the big cap. We want it back next year.
Get that Grade 1 in the 5-year-old season.
Damn right, just like Tiz now did the second Breeders' Cup Classic. Let's move on to the last leg, Mike. Here we'll talk about real quick race 11. Boy, it's not often that I pick only one Baffert. I pick the other Baffert, and I get right about it. And yet I got lucky here. I felt pretty good about this one. Defunded gets the job done at 8-1 by 2.5 lengths. His Bob Baffert stablemate following C crossed in second. 4-5 favorite gets disqualified to third behind Mr. Impossible. I thought that was the right decision, but Defunded got it, and at 8-1 was elevated odds. I shouldn't have gotten 8-1 on him, but I did. I just wish I'd had that stupid freaking hit the road, and I could have cashed in on this pick 6 that paid out $2,000 and change for 20 cents. It would have been lovely here, but no.
Yeah, we got Jared here commenting that he had the pick 6 for $2 if it would have. Or I'm sorry, Scott for $2 if he had hit the road there. And I freaking agree, man. I think hit the road might have been one of the tougher horses to get to. Like this Baffert wasn't that difficult to get you if you spread it in this race. I mean, in the Silent Bombs, I went 5 deep in the pick 6. There's no way I'm not using both Bafferts. I'm going 5 deep. And so, like, I don't think that this one was that hard to get to, even though the price floated up. I wish I used this one in tournaments because this was one of those where you get that float up. It's I'd take this horse at 8-1 all day. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of talk about it. Like when you heard, I was watching TVG when you were watching it, you hear all the different things that they were saying about it. Yeah, I was getting outworked in the morning, but it needed that first race. They gelded the horse. You're getting result, like all these things. You're like, oh man, this 11's going to air. And so it was one of those where I wish I'd used that horse in the tournament at 8-1. I at least wish I'd put a freaking win bet on the thing now that I think about it, talking through this. But yeah, I look. It was a great performance. The horse looked much the best. I thought Mr. Impossible ran a pretty good race. I thought Chaos Reigns, the 12th horse, ran a pretty good race at 24-1. That was one of the ones we talked about as well. That was coming out of the Dream Shake race. So look, that Dream Shake race keeps coming back with runners. So I'm interested to see what Dream Shake does back, but we'll talk about that in a second. This was the logical horse to get to, and this sequence pays almost $2,500 for 50 cents, and you could argue you had 2 free squares. Crazy, man. It's a killer price. It's why these mandatory days are huge. I mean, they're absolutely huge. We can talk about the Gulfstream one yesterday as well, but you get payouts that are just amplified, and all you have to do is beat a couple favorites.
I love, by the way, that you just went in and you were rightly. We can get into a different show, but you went after Gulfstream, or you decided to not go after Gulfstream for a while, and you sniped him at the right time. I loved how you did that over the weekend. I know I caught that. That was pretty good.
You know, I talked about this on the Hype Show. We've talked about it, man. I'm pretty frustrated with Gulfstream and some of the decisions that the stewards have made over the last week. I'd say 4 times in the last week. So I usually play the bombs on Friday from Gulfstream and Saturday from Gulfstream. And this week I decided not to play Gulfstream Friday or Saturday. But you know, they had that $5 million, $6 million pick 6 pool. I decided to go back on Sunday. It was nice to cash the late pick 4, late pick 5, and the pick 6. Could have been better, man. We were 5 deep and 4 deep in the last 2 races with 90,000 tickets left, which, by the way, is 0.3% of the total tickets bet. And it goes favorite, or else that thing could have gotten real weird real fast.
All right, Mike, it is time for another edition of Kentucky Derby Traffic Light Game. This is brought to us by Manscaped.com. Go over to Manscaped.com, get an order. We have the perfect package. We love it. You get 20% off if you use the code MAGICMIKE, all one word, MAGICMIKE, at checkout. It's going to get you 20% off. Get you free shipping And remember, if you screenshot your order showing us that you use that code, you send it to Mike and I. We're going to put your name in the drawing. The winner will get to pick the track that we go to for a Pick 4 sequence on a future show, and you get to submit your ticket to go head-to-head with us on the show. So it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. Go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code Magic Mike. Mr. Samich, let's start things off here. As we always do, it seems Life is Good. Bob Baffert, winner of the San Felipe Stakes. We didn't get a chance to talk about that, so let's talk about that while we talk about Life is Good here. The winner of the San Felipe, now he's undefeated through 3 starts, got a 107 by. He just looked absolutely incredible. He was over a second and a half faster than older males going the same distance on the card. This horse is a freak, right?
Yeah, man. Like I just remember, well, but the horse is floating. It doesn't matter that Life is Good floated out during the stretch of this race. He was so far gone. Like it just a very, very, very good performance. And this is one of those where I'm talking like top 10 prep performances I've seen in a very long time. Good. He was phenomenal. And it was one of those things where it didn't look like he was trying either, which is the scary part. This horse is getting better. I cannot believe the NTRA pool has him as the second 3-year-old. I didn't even look at it because I don't care who number 1 is. They're wrong. This horse is your best 3-year-old right now. I'm not super happy it's a Baffert horse, but it is what it is. This horse reminds me a lot of Authentic. It reminds me a lot of Justify, like those style horses that just go to the lead and do not stop. And that is probably what we're looking at here with Life is Good. So someone's going to have to get a rabbit into this thing to make it very hard for this horse to be able to have some pressure early in the Derby.
Here's what I loved about Life is Good's effort this time is that the first 2 times he ran, it looked like it was just pure raw, just talent. Like he was just go. And then it looks like since the sham in January in the last 2 months, Baffert's been able to calm him down and control that speed and ration it. I mean, you see the splits here. He was 2 lengths ahead, 3 lengths, 3 lengths, 6 lengths, wins by 8 lengths, even though he was drifting pretty crazily in the stretch. He was going fast, but he was doing it under control. And the fact that he was just able to keep going, there's a question from Dennis here, and this is a question a lot of people are asking, is can he get the distance? He isn't into Mischief. Started Authentic, who won it last year, but that doesn't mean one horse doesn't automatically mean every Into Mischief can suddenly handle 1.25 miles. Do you have any concerns about him distance-wise moving forward?
He's with Baffert, so no.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's just... This was an interesting race, though. I think you gotta watch this replay where I think it's really interesting that the tactics that were taken. So if you watch Medina Spirit specifically in the first turn,
yes,
he essentially plays fullback against the Great One, where he goes up to the outside of Life is Good and applies what we're going to call token pressure, but decides to float Life is Good, or I'm sorry, the Great One 5 wide. And like he just kind of keeps scooting out. And then he's the one sitting in second, which means that Medina Spirit is the one that would put pressure on Life is Good. It really made this more of a paid workout for Life is Good because he never really faced any heat. And I believe probably the horse that had the most experience here that could have really made his life difficult never had a chance to do so. So I think Life is Good was the best horse. I'm not saying Life is Good would have lost the race. I do think that you have to look at the Great One's effort differently because of how he was essentially 5 wide on the first turn, 3 wide on the second turn, and wasn't able to run his race because Medina Spirit played blocker for Life is Good.
Well, this also was a bit of a step up from facing Spielberg in the mules that he beat when he broke his maiden the next start there. But I'm so glad that you brought up the Medina Spirit thing because I saw that live and I made a note and I just realized I never put it in the recap, but I wanted to make a note about how Medina Spirit just kept floating. It was a very subtle thing, but he just kept floating him out. And I was like, oh God, this is, who was that damn horse that Baffert had that did that in the Belmont in 2018? I can't remember. Florent Giroux rode him. I can't remember, but he did the same damn shit in that race too. Very, very sneaky. So Dream Shake steps up from his maiden breaking debut in February. This is a very tough test. Now he's going to go 2 turns for the first time. And you talked about, Mike, how that last race, they're coming back pretty strong. 3rd place for Dream Shake here. Good sign, iffy sign. What do you think?
I think, look, we've talked about it before. Going 2 turns is one of the toughest things to do. Going from a maiden special weight win into graded stakes company specifically against probably the best horse in your division is tough to do. I'm taking this race with a grain of salt with Dream Shake. I think that you're going to see an improved performance next time out. I think that, look, it was a monster effort on debut, and that race has come back pretty strong. I think that Dream Shake has the ability to come back pretty strong. I said, I mentioned this on the Hype Show with Aaron and I think 2 of the top 4 Derby finishers were in this race. I will still stick with that opinion. I still think 2 of your top 4 Derby finishers come from this race.
Wow. Wow. I'll give you Life is Good. I don't know who I'd find the same. With the divisions, the circuits they all seem kind of top heavy other than Louisiana. They all seem like there's like one or two horses that really stand out and everyone else is just kind of fighting for the scraps underneath. Aaron's saying that the race reminded him of Bodemeister's Arkansas Derby win. Jared Bush said that too. I haven't been around long enough to know what that looked like, but those guys, especially Aaron, they're very smart. Aaron knows what he's talking about, especially when picking horses to win the Kentucky Derby and the Arkansas Derby. So I will trust him that it looked like Bodemeister. Did you see Bodemeister?
If you ever want to go down a rabbit hole, if you don't want to work during the day or whatever, just go to YouTube and start watching horse races. You can watch Bodemeister win that Arkansas Derby. It's a great way to burn some time.
Especially after I get rid of my Netflix subscription and I'll be part of that 60% churn that falls out because I'm getting YouTube Premium and I can watch it without ads. All right, so Life is Good is rated number 1 on Aaron's Racing Dudes rankings, which is racingdudes.com/Kentucky-Derby. It's here on the screen. Life is Good, green light, yellow light, red light.
I mean, yellow light because we're number 1. It'd be green if we were in any other position. This is your best 3-year-old right now. I think we can talk about essential quality if you really want to, but to me, I think Life is Good. It's head and shoulders. This was the most impressive performance we've seen. Horse has the most talent. The distance question is a question, but with Baffert, it's less of a question. So I think Life is Good is your clear favorite. And I wouldn't bet this horse in the future pool at 2-1, but you walk into the gate at 5-2, I might be pretty tempted.
God, and you knew what I was going to ask because he closed. You see it right here on the sidebar. He was the strong 2-1 favorite closing that pool. All right, well, I'm with you. I was going to say green light, but you're right. You can't be green light. Where the hell is he going to go? You can only go one direction. Number 2, essential quality. The news officially came out. This is what Aaron had been saying for months was going to happen. Go southwest into the Bluegrass Stakes, make the Kentucky Derby his 3rd start of the year. It's a good spot for essential quality here.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else should be number 2 in this spot. I think essential quality is clearly your second best.
Agree with you. Medina Spirit, number 3, feels a little high to me, but also I understand that Aaron is using this partially based off what he's done, and I can't argue it off of that basis right there.
Yeah, I would say red light. I think he was the 4th best horse in that race, or will be the 4th best horse in that race. And so just out of that race, I would take a couple over him. And I think the California circuit might be very, very good still. I'm not getting off that thought yet. It's
one of these times, he's a $35,000 horse. At some point, Baffert's going to have gotten to the bottom of this horse and trained him. And when he's cost $35,000, you'd think that tank could be pretty small, but apparently not. Brad Cox has the next 2 on here. Caddo River is going to show up this weekend in the Rebel Stakes at Oaklawn. Mandaloon is number 5. He, the winner of the Risen Star, going to Louisiana Derby in a couple of weeks. What do you think here?
I would go red light on Cattle River. I think he should be lower, closer to number 10. And I would go yellow light on Mandaloon. I'd have one horse jumping him, which is unfortunately also out of the Baffert barn, which I'm sure we'll get to a little bit later.
Yeah, there. I think that based off of everything that we've seen so far, I think those are good spots. I'd probably put Mandaloon a little higher than Cattle River, but Mandaloon's also had 2 starts back. Cattle River just the one in the Smarty Jones Stakes that he won. So I'm curious to see what happens in the Rebel here. Greatest Honor for Shug is 6th, winner of the Fountain of Youth, and the Holy Bull will try to complete the sweep in the Florida Derby. He's number 6. Good spot.
I'm going to go red light here as well. I don't respect that Florida circuit at all right now. That's my biggest issue with it. I'm essentially auto chucking Florida, Tampa, and Aqueduct. And I'm looking at Arkansas, Kentucky, and California. And those are the places that I want horses from right now. And so even though he is the best horse in Florida right now, I think that puts him close to the top 10, not necessarily the top 5.
God, the more often you see Todd Pletcher struggle and Chad Brown struggle with their 3-year-olds, it makes you think, what happened in Florida this year? It's just a really bad offseason. I'm with you on that. Number 7, Concert Tour. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, we hammered home the late fractions of that Holy Bull race, too. I mean, that race fell apart. That's why Greatest Honor was closing, not because they were flying.
Concert Tour, you said that you like horses that are going to be Arkansas, Kentucky, and California. Well, he's 2 of those 3. He's a California horse that's going to the Rebel Stakes for the Oaklawn, and this, I think, is the horse you were talking about would jump over Mandaloon for you, right? Yeah,
this would be a green light for me. I would have him in the top 5. I think that he's the second best Baffert, and I think he's going to prove that in the Rebel this weekend.
I'll sidestep real quick. Freedom Fighter was second to him in the San Vicente. Wasn't that far behind him. He is a stablemate and ran poorly in the Gotham, which we'll talk about a little later. Does that worry you at all about Concert Tour or no?
No, because this is where this horse went. Like Baffert tips his hands by where he sends horses. And we talked about this. He's sending a horse to Aqueduct. The horse isn't very good. Like that's just the fact of the matter, right? If he sends the horse to Arkansas, that's where he sent some very good horses in the past. He likes winning these races and having those horses go on to very, very good futures. I think we can mention a couple right off the top of our heads if we really wanted to in the last couple of years. So I think the fact that you're seeing Concert Tour going the Arkansas route, that tells you Baffert thinks it's his second best horse. His best horse is staying here in California. I think they're going to clash in the Derby. I think these are going to should be two of your top 3 betting choices.
Aaron's with you. He says that Concert Tour will be number 2 behind Life is Good if he wins the Rebel, and that he's got a decent shot of doing that. Stay tuned to racenews.com because they're drawing that race on Tuesday, and then we'll have the guide in the preview a little later this week. Number 8, Keep Me in Mind, is showing up to the Rebel Stakes.
Yeah, man, this is one of those where I want to say red light. I'm going to go like the yellowish light that you run because I don't really love this horse. I think you're probably going to drop him after this weekend, but I also can't drop everyone on this list, and I'm about to shit on all the Aqueduct horses. So it makes it a little tough to say red light and then red light.
Yeah, well, speaking of Aqueduct horses, risk-taking is there at 9. You're pretty sour on him still?
Yeah, man, like that 48-1 shot. That probably shouldn't have been 48-1, to be fair. It was like 10-1 morning line. I'm so shocked it went off that high. But that race was... You're
thinking of the Gotham. Risk-taking was coming out of the Withers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, yeah,
that's okay.
Anyway. I'm still not taking that horse.
That's fine. Louisiana horses are 3 of our next 4, so let's talk about them all together. Proxy, number 10. Hot Rod Charlie, coming from Santa Anita, was 3rd in the Robert B. Lewis, just behind Medina Spirit and Roman Centurion. We talked about them just a second ago. He's going as well. Midnight Bourbon, our boy in the Fantasy League, he's showing up as well. Where do these feel like good spots to me for these horses right now until we see the Louisiana Derby?
Proxy, I think, is yellow. Like Midnight Bourbon, I probably have green light up a couple spots because I'm going to drop Hot Rod Charlie. I don't think Hot Rod Charlie is all that great. So I'm going to drop Hot Rod Charlie down and make him prove me wrong in the Louisiana Derby.
I'm very curious to see, because Aaron said this on Twitter earlier this morning. There's conversations about some of the horses, and he said that Hot Rod Charlie Louisiana Derby is going to tell us a lot about the California horses, and I'm very excited about that because I'm with you. I think that the top 3 from the Risen Star and from the Lecomte, I think they're going to be too good for Hot Rod Charlie, but we'll see what happens here. Dream Shake, we did talk about him. Roman Centurion is 14th. They're 3rd and 4th in the San Felipe. Feel like good spots underneath players?
Dream Shake, I'd probably move up a little bit because I was red light on so many horses before. Roman Centurion, I would say, is probably there. He was right around that finish. I'm not overly impressed with Roman Centurion, but he probably makes the gate, and he probably is a mid-pack horse in the Derby.
Yeah, I don't think he makes any impact whatsoever. Here we go. We get to talk about the other two preps finally. Aaron putting them on here only because they are in the gate based off of each earning 50 points this past weekend. Let's talk about number 15, Helium. Winner of the Tampa Bay Derby over the weekend. He remains undefeated. He won 2 races, including a small stakes at Woodbine, and he comes down to Tampa, upsets the Tampa Bay Derby. Quick tip of the hat to Nick, part of the Real Dynasty gang. He had himself an effing day. He hammered this horse, Helium. He also hammered Wayburn, who won the Gotham, who we'll talk about in a second, and got incredible odds on both of them. So I think he's buying the next round of steak dinners for Nick and Vinny. What did you think about Helium in the Tampa Bay Derby?
I thought it was a really good race from Helium. Okay, I don't want to knock it. I'm not really excited about this horse as a Derby horse, though. Like, to me, this is one of those things where if you have Helium this high, the horse that ran second in the race, give me 1 second here, I'll pull it up.
Hidden Stash.
Yeah, Hidden Stash, who ran a good third last time out. Runs a good second, still is having trouble changing his leads, had to go 4 wide and really chase the move of Helium. I'm almost more interested in Hidden Stash than I am Helium. And because I feel like Hidden Stash is taking a step forward, we've seen this horse more. I have more of a contextual idea of what I think from it. I don't love the idea of going right to the Derby, which is what Cassie said he's doing. And the fact that Cassie sent this horse to Tampa and not to Gulfstream also tips his hand of what he really thinks of the horse in my mind. So when I combine all of these things, this is one of those where I hope this becomes a wise guy horse and I get to fade it on Derby Day, because you're not going to see him again before then, apparently. And yeah. I have no interest in this horse at less than 20-1. That being said, I should say, this is the kind of horse that sneaks up for 4th. Like, if you end up seeing those ballooned odds, this is one of those that could kind of make a run late and get a balloon up the superfecta price.
Yeah, the tricky thing with the superfecta for the Derby, if you don't know, it's $1 minimum, so you really have to either have deep pockets or be very strict about how you bet it. This feels like for me, you can go pretty shallow in your first 2 legs, maybe your first 3 spots, hit the all button, in the fourth leg for the Super, and just hope that you can get a couple of these oddballs to get up there. Because I remember when Instilled Regard got fourth, he was 87-1, and you had Justify, Good Magic, and Audible in the top three, and you feel like that shouldn't have paid anything, but you get Instilled Regard there 87-1, and makes things really interesting for you.
Yes, it does. Yep. Yeah, but I like going back to Helium. I would take Hidden Shake out of this race over Helium, and I think we'll probably see Hidden Shake again. So to me, I think that he's the one that's interesting because he looked really good trying to chase down Candyman Rocket, and then he looked really good trying to chase down Candyman Rocket last time out. And then this trip was kind of brutal, but he looked more mature this time running. I like to see the actual maturity, be able to change leads. You know, he did it 4 times in the stretch. He at least changed leads down the lane once to be able to help him move forward and chase after the leader.
Boy, I had small win bets in all 3 of the Derby preps. And this one I had Hidden Stash. This was Aaron's top pick. It was John White's top pick. Yeah. So I didn't really handicap the race, but when I saw those 2 guys liked him, I was like, well, I'll put money on Hidden Stash. And halfway in the stretch, man, I thought he was going to get it. And Jose Ferris said Helium was just very late to change leads. As soon as he changed, he's gone again. So, boy, I was bang, bang. I thought for a second, Aaron, we were going to get there with Hidden Stash. I was pulling for him. Let's talk about the Gotham Stakes now. I'll get that pulled up here. But Wayburn pulls the 46-1 upset over Crowded Trade, a Chad Brown horse, and also Highly Motivated, who was your sub-even money favorite here, coming back his first race since winning the Nyquist Stakes on the Breeders' Cup undercard. Mike, Wayburn and Crowded Trade, I thought they both made for an exciting finish. I'm impressed that Wayburn was able to fight back like he did. I didn't think either one of those 2 horses I want moving forward for the Derby Trail. I'm still interested in Highly Motivated. What about you?
I mean, no, but Highly Motivated is the horse that has the excuse out of this race. So if you really want to throw some money at the wall and see it fall apart, then go ahead and do that. But look, Wayburn, yeah, no, I'm good. Like I have no real interest in Wayburn. Crowded Trade, you had every chance to go by and you just didn't. Highly Motivated did have traffic trouble, did have to swing wide, did look green in the stretch. You could come up with reasons why you can say it's okay. Highly Motivated lost this race. He should never have lost this race, though. If you're a good horse, you don't lose to these 2 horses running that way down the lane. That's my biggest issue, is that even with that traffic trouble, if you're going to win the Derby, you need to win this race.
Yes, I should say yes. I agree with you on that. He should have won this race, even with the traffic trouble. I think we talked about this a little bit when the news broke he was going to go to this race, which is a 1-turn mile, instead of staying in Florida, which I think this was after the Florida races, Mike, where we were like, he's not staying in Florida after that. Maybe this horse isn't that good. That's a strong possibility. I mean, you could say traffic was an issue here, but maybe he just isn't a good horse. Yeah,
he is the horse I would take out of this race if they ran again, right? But he was also a sub-even money favorite, so I should be saying that, right?
Yeah.
And you need to get the job done here. You just need to get the job done if you're going to be an elite horse, and he didn't do it.
Fully agree with you. All right, let's take a look back on the traffic light list here. It is taking forever here. It's going slow. There we go, waking it back up. We have a couple more here to talk about. Highly Motivated, we touched on. Rombauer, first in the El Camino Real Derby, probably going to the Santa Anita Derby. Red light for me. What about you?
Yeah, red light as well.
Spielberg, red light?
Yep.
Brooklyn Strong is going to make his first start since the Remsen in the Wood Memorial. Try and go 1 start into the Derby. Red light for me.
Oh, green light. Move him up to 3. No, I'll go red light. I just don't like this field. Like I like Louisiana horses. I like the California horses. It's why I would give the Great One a shot back. I'd have him somewhere on this list. Even after that race, I think where he had legitimate issues on both turns. I think that those horses are going to pan out better. You're going to see those being the cream of the crop this year. So I generally, when I go into the Derbies, I'm looking for specific horses that run well and then try and find who's behind them. And I'll pick specific regions to focus on. To me, it's that Kentucky region. It's the Louisiana Downs. I think all 3 of those horses are legit that are down there, and in California.
We had a question here I want to touch on that Dennis asked earlier in the chat. And Dennis, I missed it when we were going through the list here, but he asked if Midnight Bourbon, Proxy, and Mandaloon, those are the Louisiana Derby trio that have been in the Risen Star and the LeCompte so far. If Proxy wins, that means each one of them has now won a prep. So his question is, does that make it a red light on all of them because they've each taken turns beating each other? Not really. I think a lot of it depends. Look, Midnight Bourbon, you can say he lost the last race because of trip. I think you have to take all 3 into account as separate entities and then decide, if they get identical trips and you have 3 different results, then it's a little bit harder. But you're going to have different nuances in each race. I think you have to look at it and kind of decide how you want to handle it from that perspective. But to me, I think at this point, from what we've seen with the Florida horses, from what we've seen with the New York horses, I think it's pretty safe to say that maybe Louisiana Downs the Louisiana Circuit is 3rd best.
but that's probably the worst it is.
Yeah, which has not always been the case. I mean, the short time I've been following the sport, the only one that I can ever remember coming out of Louisiana doing well is Gun Runner, and he was third in the Kentucky Derby, but he didn't even flourish until later. And I'm not counting Patch. We're no more Patch talk.
War of Will. God,
I always forget about War of Will. Thank you.
And I'm someone who shits on Louisiana, to be fair. Like, so for me to say that this is third best, it's usually that should tell you something, because I'm usually the one who's like, don't even worry about the Louisiana horses. They're terrible. Just throw them out. So.
Quick note on Wayburn I wanted to mention. The Belmont Stakes is reportedly their main goal. Not the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont Stakes. A horse that won a one-turn dirt prep is aiming for the Belmont Stakes, folks.
The horse didn't really stop, at least. He fought back. I mean, he was passed, and he re-rallied on the inside. He didn't want to stop, so maybe that's a good thing. Who knows?
Aaron with a good point. Highly Motivated is kind of on the Good Magic schedule. Good Magic took a rather large step forward second out his Thrilled. Yes, he did. After shitting the bed in the Fountain of Youth, he won the Bluegrass Stakes. Remember it well. Highly Motivated will do something similar. Hard to close the door fully on him yet. I don't think we're saying we're closing the door fully, but definitely sub-even money. Don't ever take that again on him in his next prep.
Yeah, you're also comparing a horse that Brown shipped to Florida and Keeneland versus one he sent to Aqueduct, which I think also tells you, like, look, Chad Brown, he ain't living in New York right now. He's down in Florida. He's with his horses in Florida. If this horse was a Derby contender, guess where that horse would be? In Florida.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thank you so much for joining us. If you were able to watch this live or the replay, go ahead and do me a quick favor. Give us a like, a thumbs up, a heart, anything you do to get a little more notoriety for our show. Would really help with it. One of these times, I promise, I'll get through that stupid thing clearly and say it the correct way one time. Mr. Zamos, you got a big weekend coming up at Oaklawn Park. Rebel Stakes weekend is finally upon us. It feels like we were just at Oaklawn because the Southwest kept getting pushed. I don't know where we go this weekend. Do you have a preference? Obviously not to Gulfstream, but
I don't know, man. I kind of like Santa Anita. Maybe we go back to Golden Hour. Maybe we play Santa Anita again. I like those. Bombs will probably be at Oaklawn on Saturday. Actually, Bombs will be at Oaklawn on Saturday. That's for sure. We'll figure out where we're going to go Friday and Sunday. But yeah, I mean, I like the Santa Anita racing, man. I did the Bombs on Friday from Santa Anita. I thought it was really playable. Really pissed at myself for not having the early pick 5, to be honest. I hit the 20-1 and the 8-1 and didn't get a favorite home. kind of not happy about that one on a $72 ticket too, which is a lot less than I normally give out. So I could have just added the frickin' horse and it would have been fine. So yeah, but I like Santa Anita right now, man. I think the races are predictable and you're getting prices.
Well, okay, so here's what's great about coming back to Santa Anita. There are no Kentucky Oaks prep races this weekend, so I bet Dr. Moran is going to want to talk about the Grade 1 Beholder Mile happening this Saturday at Santa Anita Park. One of my favorites, Harvest Moon, is going to be making her 2021 debut, and just found out this morning, Mike, Swiss Skydiver. On her way to California, she is going to be competing in the Beholder Mile. So tune in on Thursday, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, to see if Mike and I we play Swiss Skydiver, probably in the Beholder Mile, but we will cover that here. The Samo Bombs, how did you do over the weekend?
That was good. We were very close to a big score on Friday. Saturday, we were, Sunday was good. We had hit the late pick 4, the pick 5, and the pick 6 at Gulfstream Park, so that was nice. Personally had myself a day at Santa Anita Race Park on Saturday night. So that was kind of fun too. So there were 9 winning tickets. I had 5 of the 9 winning tickets. I went back and looked. I've never taken down more than 50% of a pool. So it's kind of fun to take down 55% of the pick 6 pool from Sam Houston on Saturday night.
For a second, I thought you said Santa Anita, and I was like, wait, what did you do?
No, that would have been,
Houston?
Yeah.
You had 55% of
them. I took out 55% of the Santa Anita pool on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I mean, I clearly see why Jenna was suddenly able to launch the website, man. Just suddenly we got 55 grand here. Just bring it on in. We'll throw it on the website. No, that's great. So make sure you check out racers.com. Like I mentioned, we're going to have the preview for the Rebel Stakes up pretty soon. It does draw this Tuesday, so we will have that up for you probably Tuesday afternoon on the website. The inside track to the Rebel Stakes wagering guide will be available for pre-sale later this week, so we'll be pumping that up. And, of course, if you are looking for a great gift for yourself or for the lucky guy in your life, go to manscaped.com, get the perfect package, use promo code MAGICMIKE, all one word, get 20% off. The free shipping is included with that, and if you screenshot it with the code, send it to us. You can come on a Magic Mike show and pick the track we do and send us your ticket, and it'll be a lot of fun. You see if you can beat the experts. I don't know if you beat Mike, but hey, I'll give you a good run for your money.
Yeah, it's true, man, especially with Santa Anita. You never know. You were what, a nose from giving out a $1,100 ticket this last weekend? A neck?
I was a neck away, yeah.
You can blame Roberto. If Rispoli, Umberto. If Rispoli, if Roberto, Jesus, if Rispoli had chosen the two, you would have chosen the two too, right?
Yeah, ooh, I would have used them both and probably not. Oh shit, I probably would have left off social paranoia. So that would have been, damn it, Rispoli, it's all your fault. It's all Rispoli's fault. I
do have to, like, someone talked some shit about Rispoli on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Really, really love the fact that he replied. And it was very like, hey, like, this is what happened. This is why I do it. And people kept taking shots. And he kept saying, hey, this is how I ride this. He is one of the best riders at getting his horses a chance to win. It's ridiculous to me that people are, like, grappling onto this one time when he turned around and looked back because he thought he was quitting so bad he was worried about where the horses behind him were. Like, yeah. Look, I'm not going to get over, like, you can get all over some people for rides. And I think there's way too many armchair jockeys in general. But Rispoli is one of those where I'm like, Rispoli and Pratt, like, there's certain people you just, look, man, shit happens. They're trying their hardest, and they put their horse in a position to win more than almost anyone in North America. You got to cut those guys some slack. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, this is why whenever the question is if you had to take one jockey to win one race, I'm taking Pratt because you're never going to sit there and yell at Pratt. And the race that Mike is talking about on Sunday at San Diego, the Santa Isabel Stakes, which, by the way, Moonlight Doro, I think, could have won backwards if she was in that race. Mraz had the lead, and Rispoli was on her. And by the way, I bet Mraz. I thought that she was going to easily win that race. She got very tired in the late stretch, and she got passed by a Baffert horse. But Rispoli was looking. What Mike is saying is he was looking to make sure that the horse was not going to get run over and cause an incident. He was looking out for his fellow rider. They can also only use the crop 6 times, so it's not like he could just keep sitting there trying to get her moving. He knew he was spent, and he was trying to figure out how to try and safely still win the race. So, I'm glad that you brought that up because that was a pretty big deal over on Sunday.
Yep, like I said, I give the guy props for, like, imagine an NBA player responding to a random dude on Twitter. Come on, like, that would never happen. So I give him props for actually coming on and responding to it and being respectful of people and explaining it and just going through and doing his thing, man. So I like him even more after this. Like, I think he's like, that gives me more confidence, more faith in the guy.
Well, hopefully you have more confidence and faith than I as handicappers after this episode. We'll be back on Thursday to tackle Santa Anita's late pick 4 sequence for this upcoming Saturday. That'll be 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific right here. We'll hopefully see you then. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.